want to tell you about something that is giving me hope in these very hectic, chaotic times where we are feeling completely overwhelmed by the headlines. And that's because I'm seeing a lot of people stepping up to help our communities across the board. But there's also a big opportunity. And I want to tell you why. Because there's a lot of businesses, schools, hospitals, where the staff doesn't know exactly what their rights are when it comes to dealing with immigration authorities. And you're like, well, there's a ton of documentation. There's all these immigration organizations with know your rights documents that say all that stuff. Well, number one, you're already ahead of the curve because you know that these things exist. But we can't assume that the people managing these businesses or these schools or churches or hospitals know where to find those documents. And that is the big gap that I'm seeing. And the good news is that I'm also seeing people step up to address it. And this all comes down to keeping families together, keep businesses running, and communities whole. So let me give you some examples of things that we can do. You know that coffee shop where you go frequently, or in my case, every day? They have the right to tell ICE agents that they cannot enter private spaces unless they have a warrant signed by a judge. But many people don't know this. Many people don't know that there are areas they can label as private where authorities are not allowed to enter. Teachers in schools, they can help protect student privacy and keep and maintain a safe learning environment. They just need the resources to understand what they can do. Hospitals are required to keep ICE agents out of patient care areas unless there's a proper warrant. So I have some suggestions for you. If you want to get involved in your community, and this is one of the best ways to feel connected, feel empowered, and find a group of people with shared values that you can rely on during these stressful times, go find the numbers for local immigrant groups in your area and offer to help. Now, I mentioned that there's a ton of documents with information about people's rights, correct? Well, the problem is that a lot of businesses or schools don't even know where to find that information. There are things called red cards. The problem is that depending on who you talk to, the red cards should not be printed on red paper, but should be printed in black and white. So again, contact immigration organizations and ask them if you could help print some of these cards, how they want it printed, or if they even have a link to the PDF with all the know your rights information that you could send their way so that they understand what their rights are. This information is available in English, in Spanish, and several other languages. The problem is that people don't know that this information exists. There's one more comment I want to make because I see this misconception a lot these days about how being an undocumented immigrant is a crime. That is incorrect. Being an undocumented immigrant is a civil violation. Let me give you examples of other civil violations. These are things that everyday people commit. Traffic violations, such as speeding or running a red light. Parking violations, littering, noise complaints. And the penalties for those things are monetary fines, suspension of your driver's license in the case of things related to traffic, mandatory education or community service. And again, while being undocumented is a civil violation, undocumented immigrants still have civil rights, including the right to due process and equal protection under the law.